When you look at the economics of Bitcoin, it's like each day of new supply, there's $30 million of Bitcoin roughly created, depending on the price. And then we're getting, previously days of $1 billion of buying. Like the supply-demand economics of Bitcoin, it's just the most beautiful thing in the world.
Everyone's talking about, tokenization of real-world assets. Well, you're seeing literally tokenization of pop culture and social norms like play out right now. So you're literally seeing what everyone's waiting for right now, but no one wants to admit it.
It can be easy to get caught up with, the gains you're making in a bull market and being show over on your portfolio. Then obviously the hard thing is selling off, because facing fear of missing out, just overall like bullishness, that can impact your psychology. G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Tap Into Crypto. Today's a bit of a different episode. We've got a very special guest, Mr. Ben Simpson. Ben,
thanks for having me, fellas.
Welcome, mate.
Welcome.
Second time, I feel special. You welcome me back.
Second time, mate. This is like your fifth time.
I was going to say.
How many times have it been?
Second, at least three.
Nah, I reckon even more.
Yeah, I think just the brain cells in crypto bull markets.
Yeah, you got crypto brain.
Bigger things to think about. It's fine. We're all there.
That's right. So for those of you that don't know, Ben is the CEO of Collective Shift, which is a local Australian-based crypto research and fundamental analysis platform where you can access a bunch of really good reports and sector deep dives and altcoin deep dives. So make sure to check them out. But Ben, how's things, mate?
It's been good. I'm enjoying the warmer weather in Brisbane. It is getting cold.
Gloomy, but unfortunately,
Melbourne.
It's getting cold. But it's been a good start to the year. I think anytime you get six months of green candles, it's not a bad time. It's nice for the portfolio.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, mate, we've got a good episode for you today. So we're going to pick your brain, your crypto brain as we call it, and see what insights we can get. So first of all, like Pav and I talk about it on the potty every week, like where are we in the cycle? Is this replicating what we've seen in previous cycles? What's your take here?
Yeah, it's pretty funny, right? We had 6 months of green candles. I mean, Bitcoin went from 40,000 to 60,000 in the space of a month. We get 6 weeks of a correction period and everyone seems to throw in the towel. Sort of
tops in.
Yeah, tops in. The bull market's over. It's different this time. What I'm seeing is that it's playing out eerily similar to all previous cycles. If you look at the sort of post-Bitcoin halving era, it's about 2 to 3 months of pretty choppiness correction period. I think everyone gets super excited about the halving. There's a lot of narrative, there's a lot of excitement. That kind of gets bought in. And then post-Bitcoin halving, it's like, oh, now what? And people kind of get a bit like,
is this it?
Yeah, is this it? Like, what now? But for me, like just the fundamentals of Bitcoin and seeing, even BlackRock come out recently and talk about how really 80% of the ETF potential buyers are not even in yet. Right?
That's scary. Hey?
Sovereign wealth funds, retirement funds. Like these guys take a lot longer for their ability to actually enter the market.
Yeah, I only just recently learned there's like some sort of compliance grading they give an ETF, but it only comes 6 to 12 months after it goes live, and that's when a lot of entities can actually get involved. Like they can't purchase it until it's had a bit of age to mature.
100%. Yeah. And then you look at the economics of Bitcoin. It's like each day of new supply, there's $30 million of Bitcoin roughly created, depending on the price. And then we're getting, previously days of $1 billion of buying. Like the supply-demand economics of Bitcoin is just the most beautiful thing in the world. It's like, that's why.
But that's the crazy thing. It's never changed. So everyone just keeps somehow wanting to say it's broken.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who's, been told the halving changes everything? We see a bull market up with the halving. We're about over a month since the halving actually happened. What would you say to them being like, hasn't impacted price too much thus far? Like, what's your response to that?
Well, I think it has. I think it just happened sooner than probably what we thought. I think really, the Bitcoin hitting all-time high previous to the Bitcoin halving hasn't happened before. And I think that's where I think a lot of the growth started from. But then also the peak of every cycle has been exactly 12 to 18 months after the Bitcoin halving. So I think it's important for people to step back, relax. Bitcoin's up 140% this year. I think a lot of people just get excited and buy the local top, and then you're down for 6 weeks and panic starts to set in.
It's euphoric, right?
100%.
Like it feels so good when things just maybe like I can't not get this.
Yeah. But I think it's remain patient. There's nothing. I think if you've got cash on the sidelines, I think it's a great time to deploy. I just invested pretty heavily about 2 weeks ago into sort of our top altcoins we're looking at, and then it's really about just riding that for me for the next year or two. Like I think I don't see anything fundamentally that's changing my mind on the fact that we're in a really good correction, which is needed, by the way. A lot of leverage, a lot of weak hands, and actually some of the on-chain data we've been looking at is really fascinating. So there's a chart that you can look at in terms of what wallets have bought and sold at what point in terms of their duration of holding periods.
Yep.
And we actually saw that in the last sort of 6 weeks, the majority of sellers have been wallets that have held Bitcoin less than a month.
Yeah, wow.
So we're actually seeing literally, weak hands get in the market and then rotate out, not really knowing what they're doing. That flushes out. And then what happens is we start to reaccumulate. The bigger wallets, the smarter money reaccumulates, and we go again. And it just happens over and over and over again.
Yep. Yeah, nice. I saw someone call them lettuce hands the other day.
Lettuce hands.
So I think we replaced paper hands with lettuce hands.
I'll take that. Yeah, we'll swap it out.
Yeah. You mentioned narratives before. Something that Pav and I has been a big sort of theme on the podcast this year.
It's been winning you the tipping comp.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. It's been winning me the tipping comp 3 weeks in a row. Soon to be 4, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, we always talk about it. I think it's going to play a huge role. It always has played a huge role, but I think people are more, switched on to that kind of aspect now. So in terms of narratives in 2024 and, heading into 2025 as well, what ones are you and the team at Collective Shift focusing on?
Yeah, I think this cycle is going to play out a little bit differently, where I think what's going to require in the market for people to return is Bitcoin hitting all-time highs and maybe breaking through 100,000 US from a psychological level. I think once Bitcoin does that, it's going to hit the mainstream media again. We're going to get a lot of interest, and then retail or investors will be like, okay, cool, that's expensive. What's next?
Yep.
So the three key ones for me at the moment, obviously AI is a big one. I think, everything we're seeing across in the in the real world in terms of ChatGPT 4 just released their new version. There's a lot of excitement around AI, and then fundamentally, I think people are looking at tokens in the crypto space that overlay that. Two that we're looking at for us is Render and Near. I think both of these projects are probably leading the market in terms of getting the most exposure and development. One thing I will say is that building in crypto is extremely hard, and then building AI is extremely hard, and then overlaying the two is just basically like God mode. So I think the actual fundamental development of these projects, I think, will probably lag behind in the sense of them actually doing something fundamentally valuable. But as we know in crypto, narrative drives markets and speculation. And I think that's where one of the sectors we're looking at, I think, is going to.
That's what we're all here for, speculation, other than Bitcoin, to be honest.
Exactly.
But I know, you've been big on Render this whole time. So how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels good. I don't actually own any in my actual portfolio. It's just kind of dominated by demo mode trading. It's nice.
Nothing better than real money than fake money.
Yeah, exactly. I think I looked at Render and I was like, oh, look, it's one of the front runners, which is it's never really should be a consideration because we're still early in this market, and if they're in the strongest position, they're obviously going to do well. But I guess a bit of the degen in me looks for some of those lower market caps. AIOZ is one that I'm eyeing off at the moment. That's kind of half in the AI, half in the deep in space as well. So I think it'll capture both those narratives. But look, we can't deny meme coins anymore. Meme culture, tokenization of memes is truly a thing that lives in our industry now, and even the likes of the stock market as well. We saw GameStop pump again just this week based on a guy who tweeted. So what's your take on meme culture and meme coins in particular?
It's changed a lot, to be honest. I'm a fundamental guy, and meme coins don't necessarily provide fundamental value or tokenomics that drive value. But what they do is it's a way to represent. And I heard this term recently, tokenizing culture, tokenizing the internet. It allows you to represent a ecosystem or part of the internet which you can basically bet on. And if that narrative plays out, well, you're going to return really big. The other couple of things, like you said, Ted, with the roaring kitty coming back out on Twitter and GameStop pumping 80%, I think that is just not that that's in crypto, but it just goes to show how much the internet can move prices of things and how much narratives can drive prices. And then we also saw VanEck in the last few days announce their meme coin index to track the largest meme coins, which is wild.
How good's that?
Absolutely wild.
How good's that?
So, I think at the moment I haven't invested anything, but there's a couple I'm looking at. I think one narrative that we're looking at is probably around the election later this year. So looking at something like Trump or Biden meme coin, which are both sort of leading the pack as their own representative of the election.
Nice.
The list goes on. There's so many. I think one thing, as you guys would obviously say on the podcast pretty regularly, these things are super speculative. The way I think about it is maybe having a degen bucket or a degen wallet where you just allocate some cash that you're 110% happy to lose, and it doesn't distract you too much from your main portfolio, main strategy. These are basically gambling at the end of the day. They're very speculative, but the returns can be pretty good if you can pull it off, but also super volatile. Like these things are moving 40-60% in a day. So you don't want to be putting more than you're willing to lose in these things.
No, well said.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Pav, do you have a particular meme coin that you like, that not necessarily the potential returns on it, but just like the culture, the community, and the meme behind it?
Yeah, I think to what Ben said as well, like everyone's talking about tokenization of real world assets. Well, you're seeing literally tokenization of pop culture and social norms like play out right now. So you're literally seeing what everyone's waiting for right now, but no one wants to admit it. Like the same way you would go to Facebook Messenger and share a couple of GIFs, share an image. It's the same thing, but you're just basically investing in that feeling of how much, how funny does everyone else find this thing right now? So like dog with hat's a good one for me. Super simple. The dog's got a hat. The hat stays on. It's pretty catchy. Again, like you just can't overthink this thing. If you go too far into what are the fundamentals, you're just going to drive yourself nuts. It just again, like it just goes to show as well with the whole GME thing for me and AMC and all that sort of GameStop stuff going crazy. This sort of behavior doesn't just exist in crypto. It's amplified because it has a place to live. But right now you're seeing the same sort of mentality play out through the stock market, but they just have to go through traditional stocks and turn them into a meme and bust up some hedge funds.
100%.
Yeah.
But even outside of like crypto and even stocks, it's like people just like funny shit. Like
absolutely.
When that they put out a poll to name that particular boat.
Oh, Bodie McBoatface.
Bodie McBoatface. It's just like a ridiculous answer.
Meme
but everyone
culture.
was like, that's stupid enough that I'm going to vote for that. And then it got named Bodie McBoatface. So
I love it.
Yeah, I think that it all kind of ties in. Just people want to have a laugh, and
totally agree.
see the lighter-hearted side of things, I guess.
The other one, Ted, really quickly, is the other one we've been looking at pretty heavily is gaming.
Yep.
So I think gaming still is one of the biggest industry or sectors of crypto that I think will get a lot of attention and a lot of growth. The downside is there is so many tokens.
Yeah, there's a lot,
and layer one blockchains that are building on them. I think our strategy that we're taking is a bit more of a focus on the infrastructure level. So one that we like is Ronin. Ronin's like a more specific gaming blockchain. Axie Infinity was built on top of it. And they're building out a lot of development related features for games to build on top of. And that sort of just lowers your risk a little bit. I think about risk adjusted plays a lot. Like what's going to give you the highest return for the lowest amount of risk. And usually that isn't things like meme coins because they have massive potential returns, but the risk is also just as high. So I think playing a little bit more on that infrastructure level, I think is an interesting play. Prime is another one that we've been looking into recently, which is a bit more of an overlay of AI in gaming, which I think once you can get these sort of overlays of
that's the perfect buzzword.
It's a perfect buzzword.
Very warm.
Very, very warm narrative. So another one we've been looking at, but I think gaming's going to have a good run as well.
I'm just waiting for a gaming AI meme coin deep in project
with an RWA's place.
Hey, well, let's not give too many good ideas out.
Actually, we should chat after this. So let's talk about collective shift. So obviously you're telling us before, like things are running hot at collective shift. You're seeing more and more users signing up, and more users use the platform. Is there any particular questions or just like what are you seeing people are most interested in at collective shift?
Yeah, I think it's definitely changed. So we have about 1,000, probably about 1,100 paying like members around the world now, which is amazing. It's been an epic start to the year. I think our members are thinking a little bit more strategically now about like forward planning. I think one thing that is coming into consideration a lot is around, portfolio structure, allocation percentages, sectors, exit strategies. A lot of our members have come to us having been in crypto for maybe 1 or 2 cycles, didn't make enough money or didn't make any money at all, round tripped, and they don't want to make the same mistake again. So it's like, how can we set up a plan, an exit strategy, a structure, so we're taking profits on the way out, when to take profits, how do you even do that, even reassessing underperforming coins in your portfolio, how do you think about that, which ones do you keep, which ones do you sell? So we've really been working hard on like creating some really great research and insights, and even like basically checklist steps that you can go through and analyze your portfolio and then create exit strategies. And then we've been going a little bit deeper on like, trying to get better altcoin allocation and selections through like, we've built our own like scoring rating mechanism internally. So we've actually got like this process where we go through each coin and we have 2 of our analysts go through and rate our coins or the different coins we're looking at based off different metrics, and that sort of spits out a rating.
Nice.
So that's been really cool to really try and take the emotion out of investing and really give people a little bit more of like an independent lens on where you should be looking, where you should be paying attention, but then ultimately like when to start taking profits.
Yep. No, I'm glad you mentioned exit strategies there, because obviously it can be easy to get caught up with, the gains you're making in a bull market, and when you show everyone your portfolio, you're like, I'm worth, a couple $100K, $2 million, whatever. But then obviously the hard thing is selling off, because potentially you're facing fear of missing out, and just overall like bullishness that can impact your psychology. So are there like any specific things you look for in an exit strategy to be like, okay, I need to shave some profits off or exit completely?
Yes, there's two main things. One, you've got to look at your own personal plan and your own personal goals and objectives. So one thing that we have that we walk everyone through is we've got this 10-step process, and it goes through things like, what are your goals? Like, what are you trying to achieve in crypto? How much money are you trying to make? What are you trying to do? It might be paying off a mortgage or getting a new investment. Yep. Then it's like, what is your risk appetite? How much risk are you able to stomach? A lot of people think they have more risk appetite than they actually do.
And then the last couple of months just checks them.
100%, just get you back in check. Short and long-term strategy, buy strategy. So all of that, and then you overlay that with the market. So you've got to play the market on its merits. You can't control the market. The market will be the market. Does not care about you. A lot of people get upset and shady because they bought at a period of time and it went down, and it's like, no one cares, mate. The market does not care about you. Yeah. But you've got to overlay where the market is at with trying to achieve your personal goals. So what I try and help people understand is like, have three goals. Have a bearish goal, a base goal, and a bullish goal, and have a number assigned to that.
Yep.
And I try and tick off that bearish goal as soon as possible. So on the way up of the bull market, you're sort of taking profits. So I take just a sell strategy where I'm taking percentages off as we go up to try and achieve my bearish goal as soon as possible, and then move to the base, and then hopefully we get to the bullish goal and everything's going pandemonium. But I think for a lot of people, they compound all the risk until the final stages of a bull market where they're trying to get within 5% of the top, trying to be a hero. And what ends up happening is they miss it because they're too euphoric and they're making too much money on paper. And then all of a sudden, bull market's over and they've round-tripped it again. So we really talk about risk-adjusted strategy. So take profits off the table, put that in cash, put it in stables, but still keep a good exposure in crypto, because who knows how crazy you can get. But there's no point, in my opinion, trying to compound all that risk, and you're playing with life-changing amounts of money and you haven't taken anything off the table, because at any point the bull market will be over and now you're down 30 or 40% from where you were. And I can guarantee when you're 40% down from where you were, that's even harder to sell than where you were, because you were like, well, last week I had $1 million and now I've got 600,000. Like, I can't sell now. 3 weeks later, you're at 400, and now it's like, now you're waiting another 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite scary, but it's like, it's not real until you sell.
Exactly.
It's pretty simple.
Exactly, and it feels wrong that the harder it feels to do something, usually the better the decision it is. So like right now, when the market's corrected, we had 6 weeks of down period. We've noticed, and you guys have probably seen it, on the customer support desk, most people sort of go back to doing what they were doing before. It's boring. You kind of feel, maybe it's over. That usually is the right time to buy. Same with March, when everything's going bananas and you're making all this money. Usually that is the right time to start taking profits.
Yeah, absolutely. Good tip. It's interesting. I see people online saying like, I'm selling everything when Bitcoin hits 200K, or I'm selling everything December 31st.
How can anyone know?
And it's like, it's too specific, and the market never plays out as we think it is. So like, I think everyone's different. You got to have your own personal goals, and you got to consider your own personal sort of situation.
just to call back to what Ben talked about earlier, that time horizon from the halving, that's played out every time with pretty high success rates. So even if you're not sure on like, how should I feel? What should it look like? Just think about, if this is a 4-year cycle, if it is all about going halving to halving, it is that 4 to 18 months. That's your window. Like, don't overshoot that. At the very least, if you can't work out what to do.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, and also you can have a short-term and long-term strategy as well. You don't have to just always think about like this cycle. Like I think a lot of people in crypto think too short-term. Like they have to make and achieve all of their life's ambitions and financial goals in the next 2 years. It's like, where else in the world are you doing that? It's not reality.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be back 2026 doing the same thing.
We'll be back talking about the same stuff.
And everyone thinks it won't happen.
Yeah, exactly. And the Bitcoin will be here in 100 years' time. Where will Bitcoin, we're probably not going to be alive in 100 years, but where will Bitcoin be in 30 years, 50 years? So for me, I'm building my long-term, my ultimate goal for me is to build up as much Bitcoin as I can in this bull market through altcoins and basically leveraging my position through altcoins to build up my Bitcoin stack and then hold that for basically forever. And I think that over a period of time my Bitcoin stack will outperform anything else in the world.
Well, it has. Like, it's outperformed the NASDAQ. all currencies are debasing. Like
100%.
everything's worth less.
Even gold over the last 7 years only up 40 or 50%. Like gold hasn't even outpaced inflation.
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
That's pretty much
you base your property in Bitcoin, and then that's it.
Yeah. I think if you sit down and work it out, it's like a 12% hurdle rate. You have to make 12% every year to outperform Bitcoin, even when Bitcoin's going down. Like, it's mental.
Wild. Yeah.
It is wild, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, last question. My mum came to me the other day, and she's, that's always a sign that you're...
Hang on, what? Okay, keep going.
She came to me and she's like, look, I want to allocate more. She's got a little bit of crypto.
Ted, should you still be working in crypto?
No, she said that a lot of times.
Not bull market over.
Yeah. But she said, look, I've got this extra cash and I want to allocate some to crypto. Like, she doesn't have much of a portfolio now. She's obviously super beginner. What sort of... and I'm not going to use the word advice here, but in your situation, if you were a beginner and you were getting in the same position, how would you allocate those funds into crypto? And I'm not saying you have to all needs to go into crypto. Like some can be held on the sidelines. Like, what's your strategy there?
So the first question I would ask is just like, when do you want to take that money out?
Yeah.
So like for your mum, perhaps she wants to spend in the next 2 years, 5 years. That's probably going to be different to you're buying crypto for yourself or for ourselves. That we've probably want to hold for a longer period of time. It's kind of different. If it's in the next 2 or 3 years, I'd probably still have that percentage allocation. I always think about it as percentage allocation, not necessarily just dollar value. People say, like, how much money should I put in that? It's like, well, it's not about how much money you should put in. It's like, how much money do you have? And then what's the split of that you should put in?
Yep.
So I'd always recommend having somewhere between 50 to 75% BTC and ETH, and then splitting the rest in sort of altcoins. 1% being a lower allocation to an altcoin, 5% being a higher percent allocation. I probably wouldn't go too harder than 5%. I think in the next this bull market, I think Ethereum is the best risk to reward play. I think Ethereum has really underperformed so far.
Super low sentiment.
I think a lot of the attention's been on BTC. A lot of the attention is not on layer 2s. It's in every other ecosystem.
Solana, yeah.
Solana's
taking the spotlight.
100%. I think, but if you look at fundamentally, it continues to grow. Developers still focusing on. I think it's still going to be the blue chip layer 1 blockchain. We've got the BlackRock $100 million tokenized fund that come out. Like, there's a lot of positive fundamental things that are happening on chain, but the sentiment isn't there, and that's why I think it will. Once we get the narrative back towards ETH and altcoins start to go, and we have the altcoin rally. Let's say it's later this year or early next year. I think Ethereum will perform, hopefully pretty well. So I think I'd be saying to your mum, it'd be like, some BTC, maybe a little bit more ETH if it's a shorter term play. If it's a longer term play, I'd say more BTC, and then maybe splitting some stuff across some AI, gaming, maybe some RWAs, maybe some DeFi. I think DeFi has really been punished because of the SEC lawsuit stuff. I'm super bullish on DeFi.
And Trump.
And Trump and Bowden.
Again, too, so she's probably trading on Swyftx, right? So it'd be probably just focusing on stuff that's easy to access on the exchange. I think some people that don't know crypto too well start to try and do all this crazy stuff, and it's like, now you've got counterparty risk, you've got wallets, you've got gas fees, you've got all this other stuff.
It's complicated.
Complicated storage. Maybe I just focus on keeping it simple.
Yeah, and of course, like we're still listing, 350 plus assets, and we're listing 3 a week.
So there'll be more to come.
We're always trying to list like the most relevant assets that people want, essentially.
Which is basically impossible because it's like everyone wants different stuff.
And
there's a million coins going out every week.
And half of them are scams. So
exactly.
we do our due diligence as well. So absolutely, we'll love the answer, and we might leave it there, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks so much, guys.
It's time to go to lunch and then the footy tomorrow, Ben.
Yes, hopefully the lines get up. It's a long way to come for the lines to lose, but hopefully Tommy's going to be good luck for me, and we'll get over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Alrighty, thanks, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers, gang.